All right, hey there, traders. This is Christian Fromhertz with Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Monday, and some pretty nice market action. We have been since last Wednesday. We've been having a nice recovery, and we'll go over the technicals in just a second. But nice to see on a day like today, Monday, where we're actually finished, I think, right around the highs of the day. Yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen that in a while or last couple of weeks. It almost feels like that flush on Wednesday kind of got things out of the system in terms of the lack of momentum that we were having. So sometimes that basically happens. So when we don't get any type of movement whatsoever, things kind of become a little bit still and lackluster. And once we get a little bit of a sell off, 1 to 2%, I know nobody really likes to see it because it's kind of painful, very hard to predict. But once it happens, then it's things, buyers come back in and there's a little bit of momentum that comes back in. So sometimes you just have to sit and bear it with a little bit of a pullback. It kind of just refreshes and resets things back. So the other thing that was an indicator, which I have world markets up here, is because we continue to come in and we just see a lot of green across the globe, especially in Asia today. Not so much in Europe, but you walk in and you continue to see this Hang Seng up 80 basis points. The Shanghai, which continues to be kind of lagging, but South Korea, Australia, Taiwan. I mean, just area after area that seems to be doing very well globally. So that was the first indication that something really nice was going to happen today in terms of market performance. And then if we kind of dig into the S&P chart here, we're almost all the way back to this big red bar on Wednesday. So, I'm borrowing the phrase that I said last week, and I said, on the first day of recovery, I said Rome wasn't built in a day, but we're almost right back to basically where we were on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. So, really nice recovery. Nasdaq's even stronger. Nasdaq really outperformed and closed on the highs. And the thing that was interesting about Nasdaq today was it wasn't really the FANG stocks, which everybody continues to be focused on, but it was more. Sorry, let me just turn my phone off. QQQ movers. And you could see names that were up here. It was this LA, which is what Liberty Global, I believe, called Lilac, up 4%. But also Autodesk was up 3%, Win 2.8%, Qualcomm 2.7, ISRG, Regeneron, NTES, NCLH, which we saw call buying last week. So different. You don't see it in that top 10 list here. We don't see any of the FANG stocks. Basically, they kind of not all of them took the day off. I thought Amazon. I've been kind of long. Sorry, not kind of, but I've been long Amazon, and I've been doing a lot less day trading. I've just kind of been noticing that these names they obviously don't go up every day. So trying to pick a day to day trade them sometimes becomes, I found that I'm wasting a little bit of money trying to pick the day that they're going to go. And I've got a lot of June call spreads on, which maybe I'm flirting with danger a little bit. But Amazon is through the upper strike of my call spread now, so I'm in pretty good position. Knock on wood. In this way, they're not trades that I have on for like months and months. But some of these FANG stocks I have on, I'll put on for a month or 2 months out, and they're really working pretty well. So rather than try to really time the market perfectly. For instance, I've actually have two different call spreads on in Amazon. I've got the June 955 970 call spread. I put that on for right around $6. It's now marking at $9. So that's nice, nice little profit. And then I've also got one a week further out. I've got the June 23rd 970 980 call spread. I put that on for under $4, and it's now marking at $5. So these things are working really well. Just the rest of the FANG stocks, eventually I think Facebook wakes up a little bit, but really hasn't done much after earnings. It found some support here. Um, Apple, I really didn't look at Apple too much today. Maybe once in the morning. Just didn't think it was going to have a lot of momentum. Google also, similar to Amazon, these two seem like they're racing right around the same dollar amount. Nice performance today. Keep in mind for almost a month, I'll call it 3 weeks, this was really overbought. So it's worked off those overbought levels, and maybe it's ready for that next leg higher at this point. Netflix, which we were actually looking at in the morning, just didn't really get going at all. I didn't actually put on any trade here. Looked at it a couple times, but some of the things that really worked well for me. Blackstone, this is one that I've had on for literally a couple months now, more than a couple months. I think about 4 or 5 months. And while it's been moving sideways, and I played this move up here, and then I've just been sitting with, and it's just a testament to holding longer dated positions. I followed some January 2019 call buying, again January 2019, and so while this thing has just been chopping for the last 3 months, really the price of my options hasn't decayed too much. And then all of a sudden you get one day where it's up 7%, and you're able to make a lot of money on that. So this looks really interesting to me because it was in this range for 3 or 4 months, and now breaking out. So nice upgrade in this, and I think Blackstone has a lot of upside, in my opinion. So that's why I'm continuing to stay long Blackstone. I did take some money off the table today off this gap up, but I'm holding on to a piece, and want to see how long this is going to last for. Other than that, let's see a couple other names in terms of option activity that we saw, which was really interesting. We saw a lot of Square options. Square finished up 5%, so we saw multiple buyers in this one today, and we saw some of these last week as well. GIS, which is kind of a counter trend trade, but it worked pretty well for a day trade today. Notice it's way below the 200-day moving average, but real nice call buying today. This is sorry, I've got this blocking the screen. Just take that off. This was, I believe, in October, big block, 10,000 of the October 62 and a half calls that went up. That was a nice trade today. Fold, which was probably the trade of the day in terms of option activity. They did have a investor conference, I believe, today. So there was calls that were purchased right around that time, right when they started presenting. But there were 6,000 of the September calls. So I actually traded the stock. It's an $8 stock. I've got some nice defined support here. I know my charts are busy, so just to kind of make it a little bit more simple, if you look at Fold. And let me just change this to a candlestick chart. But you can see, nice stop. So every time I've got a systematic cash trading portfolio, and my stop is going to be below the 50-day moving average. All of these cash positions that I put on, I know the stop as I'm entering into the trade. That's the system. Full confidence in my system, not in any particular one trade. So I like this thing here, especially when we see the call buyers come in, especially a little bit longer dated. I don't like to see, the weekly stuff really doesn't compel me to put on a long-term cash trade. But when we see call buying going out to September or October, sure. So I've got a really nice defined support level here. So I got long this name. The other areas that continue to outperform in this market, it's like a broken record for me, but the Chinese internets. I mean, man, these things are strong. Up another 1.2% today. Look at this outperformance this last year. If we zoom in a little bit, are they overbought? Sure, absolutely. But every day it's different ones that are kind of pulling the cart. Wuba, which I mentioned today in the beginning of the day pre-market. Look at this chart. This thing looks really, really nice. You got your defined support. You got what you call a golden cross, the 50-day crossing over the 200-day moving average. So it didn't close on the highs, but keep an eye on that one because this one's not exactly overbought yet. So that's why I said I think you have to analyze each one by case scenario. Sure, the whole group is overbought at this time, but I think it's also a good indicator if you want a little bit of my cheat sheet. But when the Hang Seng you come in and the Hang Seng is up 1%, it has a high correlation that the Chinese ADRs are going to do pretty well that day. So again, it seems to be different ones. It's not just Alibaba. JD.com had a real nice day today. I think a couple people were playing this one. So this one continues to chug higher and closed higher on the day. Robotic stocks, these continue to move as well. So there's really some nice pockets of strength I'm not going to call when these things are going to stop moving. I was just listening to CNBC and they're like, wow, the tax, maybe it's time to take some money off the table. And maybe, I mean, watch the RSIs with these. They are getting a bit overbought. But again, if you analyze them on a case by case situation, can get into a couple names that are not overbought. The semis, same thing, up another 1% today. And again, it seems to be a different group that was marching higher today. Qualcomm was very strong. Look at Qorvo up 3.4%. This one continues. We've seen multiple call buyers in this the last week and a half. CDNS, which we saw some call buying in this one as well today, really sharp. Not a name that we see a lot of call buying in. CDNS. So this is probably a bit of a momentum play. July 34 calls. You could see multiple times they came in and purchased some below $50. But that Broadcom, and then I guess one that has been performing every day. I haven't been trading it every day, but it just continues to work. Is Nvidia. So that was up. Applied Materials since they reported earnings. Xilinx had, I believe it was their investor day. They were also up 1%. So I mean, look at the green here. I mean, so for me, you just have to be in the right things. We saw a lot of call selling in some of the financials. I've talked about this group before. I don't want to be involved at all in financials. Why? Because they are caught between the moving averages. They're in no man's land. They're between the 50 and the 100 moving average. 50 and the 100-day moving average, and between the 200-day moving average. How's this going to? You could take your crystal ball out, I guess, and try to predict if it's gonna go to the upside or going to go to the downside. Personally, I would rather not really hold anything in financials right now and wait till whichever decides to go, and then maybe pounce on it. But kind of looks like a head and shoulders to me. Not these head and shoulders patterns aren't always perfect, but it kind of looks like a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. Don't know that yet. We don't know until it breaks. I would say this $23 thing. So if I had to lean one way or another, I see the 50-day crossing below the 100. My guess is that it's going to get back down to the 200-day moving average, but I'm not really willing to try to play that game. And it's not even that big of a move down to 22. Who knows? Maybe it goes down to 22 and gets a bounce on the 200-day moving average. But they just don't have any momentum to them, and I'd rather not even try to trade these. What's the point? So that's one area that you can kind of strip out and say, wait to see what happens, and wait for a signal there. Other outperformers were the defense stocks, but they kind of I don't want to say fizzled at the end of the day, but they certainly closed well off the highs. But nice performance there. Gold miners also did pretty well today. We saw a little bit of call buying in the gold miners today, with gold up 40 basis points. But I think still for me, for the gold miners, let's see where this is relative. Not above the 200-day moving average yet, so not yet. Almost. I think you want to be patient, and you notice every time it's got here, it's fallen apart on that 200-day moving average. So be mindful of that. A couple other signals, and then we'll kind of end the video for today. It's a little bit longer than usual. Yeah, we did see some applied materials. Hewlett Packard, keep your eye on this name tomorrow. They went off after aggressive weekly call options in this one, and the same thing in Yum Brands, also weekly calls, but very aggressively they bought them for. So that's it for today's video. Have a great night, and I'll see you back Tuesday morning. Thank you.